Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Autistic Tidbits and Tangents podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kara Diamond. I'm an autistic teacher, university lecturer, and author from outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Bruce.
Hello, everybody. I'm just clicking a button that says OK. My name is Bruce Petherick. This morning, I am very much feeling like I am an autistic artistic director. My orchestra had a big concert last night, and I've just woken up. But I also have a day job. I'm the autistic advocate at Autism Canada.
And I'm really excited to have Julianna Maggrah with us. I'm going to read your bio. Julianna is a two-spirit neurodivergent Indigenous woman who was born and raised in northern Saskatchewan. Her family were trappers and hunters and loved to live off of the land. And so Julianna was born with a connection to the land. Although she can't stand the idea of setting traps or hunting, she connects to the land by picking medicines and taking her dog out to roam the forest. Rather than saying she's from the north, Julianna would prefer to say that she is from the land and the stars, as her connection is to the spirit of the earth and not a town or city. As an Indigenous person, she grew up experiencing the effects of generational trauma, which led her to discovering the importance of mental health and understanding one's mind and experiences. Over the years, she has become an advocate for mental health and has made a short documentary about her own struggles with depression and anxiety, and has worked with the CBC Creator Network to make mini documentaries about her two-spirit journey, searching for her culture, and a guided mindfulness meditation in the forest. Most recently, Julianna wrote an article for CBC about how learning about Indigenous perspectives on autism helped her accept her autism diagnosis, which is going to be our thing of the day. Julianna studied media arts production at Saskatchewan Polytechnic and then interned at MBC Radio. Shortly after finishing school, she got a job as a video journalist at CTV. Julianna realized she could combine her desire to help people with her love for creativity and art, and so she creates content about subjects that she feels are important. In 2022, Julianna was selected to participate in CBC and NSI's New Indigenous Voices program. Later that year, she received the Queen's Jubilee Platinum Medal for her work in creating an open space for mental health online. In 2023, Julianna placed second in Red Nation Media's Native Women Right Pitch competition, and in 2024, she was shortlisted for RBC's Emerging Indigenous Filmmakers Award. She's currently in a production mentorship with Cinema Ascent and is writing a documentary about the spiritual gifts of autism. Julianna has future plans to bridge arts, therapy, and culture to help people heal. Oh my goodness. It's so exciting to have you here, and just reading your bio, I'm so excited to dive into some of these topics. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a while since I've been on a podcast and interviewed, and it's exciting. I've got my setup. You can't see.
You have a more high-tech setup than me, but I feel like that's part of our charm. We're low tech.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Autistic Tidbits and Tangents podcast.
Candid conversations between autistic off-hour professionals.
With lots of tangents in different accents.
Each person's viewpoints on this podcast reflect their backgrounds and temporal perspectives at the time of recording, and do not necessarily reflect the views of everyone else. We believe that personal growth comes from listening and reacting to multiple perspectives, and that conversations can be catalysts for change, connection, and greater understanding. Thanks for being part of our community. In this episode, we make some mention of colonialism, neoliberalism, of course, patriarchy, capitalism, normalcy, stigma of being neurodivergent, bullying, homophobia, transphobia, and there's also just some mild swearing.
Boy, that's an impressive bio, and that's from somebody who has a 24-page bio themselves. I think the one that struck out to me was the very last one. the film you're making about autism and spirituality. What does that mean?
Um, I don't know how to state what it means. I I always felt different. Of course, I think every undiagnosed autistic kid feels different without knowing why. Um, but it wasn't until I started to learn about like Indigenous teachings and the spirituality of Indigenous people and how there's a very spiritual connection to like the earth. And that really stood out to me because I always felt like I had this connection to like nature and animals. I felt like when I was a kid, I felt like I could talk to animals, and I thought I was like this weirdo because nobody else seemed to understand that. And they're like, you can't talk to animals, you weirdo. And I was like, oh, oops, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
And looking into it, there's like nations, indigenous tribes that believe that people with autism have spiritual gifts. And that started to like I began to accept my unique perspective and my sensitivity, which was always very hard. Like I grew up in a place that was where I was very much encouraged to just push emotions down, and I felt very strongly, and I felt like I was weak because I felt so strongly. But then I started to learn that to be gentle and to be sensitive and to have like such a connection to the earth and to animals could be a very good thing,
Absolutely.
especially for hunter gatherers. Like, what if people were hunting and someone's like picking some berries or something, and then it's like, oh, I feel a difference in the atmosphere. I think a storm's coming, or I can hear something. I think there's some people are gonna come and attack us. I don't know. I have my spider senses are tingling. And when I meet other people with autism, they're very stuck in this Western or like this way of thinking that to be different is to be bad. Like there's something wrong with them, that they're broken. One guy said like there's nothing good about autism, like, and just feels like he's adamant in hating himself because people told him throughout his life like you're weird, probably got bullied as well, like I did.
Yeah.
But like learning about this spiritual connection and that there was once a time where people with autism were medicine people and they were highly revered. I want to try and like help people to love themselves. Like I had to really work on loving myself and connecting to my own spirituality and like understanding that there's energy everywhere and like there's literally electricity in my brain. Like that kind of astounds me. So I want to focus on like the gifts of autism without saying like it's this super great thing that like everyone should want it, but it's not like it's the way that I think that we look at ourselves.
Yes.
I have to tell myself all the time, like other people's judgments aren't about me. It's about them and their own limited perspective. If I don't like respect their opinion, why am I respecting their opinion about me? And that's the same thing with like other people's emotions. Like that has nothing to do with me. That's about them. It's like if I'm overstimulated and my dog's being annoying and I snap, I'm like, I'm sorry, Odie, it's not your fault. I'm just having a bad day.
Yeah.
So that's something that I want to just focus on the fact that there is a strength in being gentle, there is a strength in being sensitive, and that there is a way that we can work with our nervous system, we can work with our mind. It's hard, but it's doable, and I think it's just something that I want people to know is possible.
I love that so much. A huge part for me in like resetting my nervous system is being in nature. It's like the one place where I feel like the brain chatter settles and I feel really, I don't know, myself, but like a small part of everything. Not an important part, but like part of everything. And my favorite childhood memories were just like being in a forest, being able to spend so much time outside and like creating my own games, and other people aren't around and I didn't need other people and I could just like frolic, imagine myself like I was a little wood nymph. But we need that. Like we need that. And I really love hearing I love hearing when other people find those things important.
Mm.
But especially like living off the land. I like picking medicines. Tell me more about that. Like, how did you learn to, I guess, forage or find things in nature that,
Um, so my family would go like blueberry picking. Blueberries grow,
Saskatchewan? Yeah.
yeah, they get pretty big and juicy up north. There's actually a newspaper clipping I have of my great grandma who won like best blueberry picker in La Ronge, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
my
gosh.
Chapman could pick more blueberries than yours. um, but it wasn't actually until I found a knowledge keeper that like to go out into the like forest and pick sage and sweetgrass and yarrow, and they would give teachings. And then when I was out there, it just felt like meditative. I just
Yeah.
felt so calm and so connected. And I would like just I give away my stuff so easily because then it's like an excuse to pick more. It's like, oh, the more I give away, the more I can like get out there and pick. Because like they always say, don't pick too much. Like you just pick what you need. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I need to give this away. Like I need to give people yarrow and sage because then I can go pick more.
Yeah.
I can take my dog with me and like he loves it. And I've always been really interested in how the body works. In 2011, I was like really considering going into medicine and becoming a doctor, but then I got health issues myself and saw how the whole like hospital system worked, and was like, no, that's not for me. But I like to listen to the teachings that my knowledge keeper gives about medicines, and then I'll also like Google what whatever studies show about the medicines, just so I can like know as much as I can.
Yeah.
And then now people are like, hey, what should I take for this headache? Like, oh, there's something, I have a burn on my foot. And I'm like, you know what? You can use some yarrow or fireweed, just chew it up and put it right on there. Now I'm into like making lotions and like I made a salve. I heard different ways of pronouncing that, but I made a salve last night. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, I love to like work with my hands, keep my hands busy. I like to make things. I like to be out in nature. So I'm like combining all this stuff and told my therapist about it. And she's like, you should just make a little business, sell it. And I'm like, I don't know how to do business.
And then it's hard to monetize things that we love, right? That's another thing that I've certainly found.
Yeah.
Bruce.
I love the idea of the knowledge keeper. Well, knowledge keeper, because I really recognize there's more of them. And Cara, it's kind of interesting. I think I should start calling you knowledge keeper.
I feel like I know nothing, but maybe that's key to being a knowledge keeper.
But I mean, it's part of our day jobs is to impart the knowledge we have as autistic adults to most often other autistic people. And I think that's I've never thought of it as being a sacred / spiritual thing, but as you're talking about it, it's like, it's kind of interesting. I had like last night, one of the I'll try and anonymize this, but one of our orchestral players' son is autistic, and they have talked to me, that the performer has talked to me quite a lot about when I often will come to rehearsals wearing, I'm an autistic person, or, deal with my autism and whatever stuff like that. She said, "Oh, my son would be so happy to see that because he gets challenged so much." And when I met him last night, and I've seen him a couple of times, but this is the time I met, I always talk about the secret autistic handshake, and you see on his face like, there's a secret handshake, and like nobody told me this. And it's like, I love that transfer of, tongue in cheek somewhat, but still it's like autistic people are connected in a way that neurotypical people are not connected. And we do have a secret handshake.
Well, there's definitely an ease of how we relate, and like even if we don't have exactly the same profiles or sensory needs, it's like we understand having needs that other people don't understand. I think that's pretty common. Yeah, and I'm curious. Speaking of like needs, I feel like needs are so culturally determined as well. I'm wondering Juliana, from your perspective, like what were some autistic traits that really, um, I don't know, fared really well? As given your Indigenous culture, like which things were encouraged? Was there anything that was a struggle, particularly within your cultural background? Uh,
Um, so where I grew up, there wasn't much knowledge on like Indigenous culture.
mhm.
They knew about like trapping and hunting, like how to subsist themselves in a natural environment, but um they like in Larange, they didn't know much about like ceremony. They didn't know much about the spiritual connection to the land. Um, my band just recently got a new wellness and treatment center on the reserve, and they're like now trying to bring in like medicine picking and like a sweat lodge, and they just had their first round dance ever,
Wow.
and yeah, like there's
Why? And
uh
I'm asking the question. I'm
yeah.
now going to be horrified by the answer, aren't I? I'm sorry.
It was
Why?
it was heavily Catholicized. So residential schools are like the whole mandate was to kill the Indian, save the child. So
Yeah.
they really put in this idea that it was like bad to be Indigenous and that they really wanted to idealize this like European way of life. So it was like don't like it was illegal to dance and to sing and um to just practice any cultural way. And
Yes.
Laurent, it's I don't know if I'd say it's remote. It's kind of remote. Like it's a 2.5 hour drive away to the town I'm in now, which has 38,000 people, which isn't a very big town. So you're far away, and you're just kind of stuck in this way of believing that you're supposed to live. Um, so like I kind of do this knowledge transfer with my mom. Like she lived on what we call a trap line, which is like a little set of land in the forest where indigenous people are like allowed to just trap and hunt freely without needing any licenses.
Okay.
So she lived with her mom and sisters and grandma and uncles for like 3 years, like way up north. Like you can't even drive there. There's no road. You have to fly in. To like
Yeah. Yeah.
get a bush plane, we call it,
Yeah.
and like fly out there. And they might just bring some like flour, oats, sugar, so they can like make bannock and oatmeal. And then they would like hunt and trap and like forage for their stuff. So I'll like learn some stuff about my culture from like my knowledge keeper and like these other places that I go, and I'll tell my mom about it, and then I'll ask her like what living on the trap line was like, and she'll tell me that they made like little smokehouse teepees out of like cedar boughs, and that they would go hunting and like set out fish nets in the lake and all this stuff. And someday I want to just take her camping and be like, show me how to make a little teepee and smoke some fish or something. Um, so it's like it's something that people like they don't know that there are some nations that don't actually have the spirituality of culture,
Yes.
but like they don't do those rituals. My chief just participated in a pipe ceremony a few years ago for the first time.
Yeah.
And she's a fluent Cree speaker. Like she's from this nation called Stanley Mission, which is even north of Larange. She's the chief of the Lac La Range Indian band. But they just know about like hunting and trapping basically. So they're just like bringing in the culture now. So that's something that I had to go and search for myself, because I just felt like there's something missing
Yeah.
from my life.
It makes me so sad. Like these,
Mhm.
I mean, similar sort of forces that try to like have this idea of like what is normal, what is expected, what is appropriate, right? Like, um, and obviously it's applied to disability, it's applied to Indigenous cultures, it's applied to many different things. Like, um, that really like it breaks my heart. Now, I'm thinking too, like, um, with all of those practices, like living on the land, like, do you think autistic people historically, like autistic people who would not, of course, be diagnosed, uh,
Mhm.
how do you think what would be the impact on autistic lives? Would it be easier to live off the land that way compared to like the rat race that uh, it seems to be normalized in Western culture?
I think about this a lot. Like, there's always times where I'm like, I just want to run away to like
Live in the
before
woods.
I want to go get a trap line and like a cheap RV and just live out there. Bring a hunter with me. Like, they can go kill the animals and I'll like forage for stuff.
Yeah.
Every neurodivergent person I know has this like connection to the land where they go out camping or just go into the forest and then they're like, oh, I feel so much better.
Mhm.
I don't know any other autistic people that like to hunt, but like
Yeah,
I'm one
yeah.
of the people that are like very, very gentle. I can't stand the
Yeah.
idea of like killing an animal. My grandma would like just skin a rabbit and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I gotta eat that. Okay.
Yeah.
I do think though that like when you have like a community together and they're all like living on the land and you have like a few autistic people there, that it is I think that that's how we're supposed to live. I think that's why we're so like stressed and burnt out. Like everyone is, but autistic people especially, like
Yes.
how many autistic people are living with chronic health conditions because we just push through everything in our nervous system. They're so sensitive. And like I pushed through health issues because I was like, I'm not supposed to complain.
Oh my gosh.
But I think that like we're meant to live in a environment that's like much slower. Like you go into the forest and it's just like you take a big deep breath. The air is fresher for one thing,
Yes.
but it's like the energy is just calmer.
Mhm.
And as soon as I go out there, even just 5 minutes outside of Prince Albert, and it's like, this is so much better. Just
Agreed.
nature all over, and I'm like looking at all these plants. I'm like, I wonder what that is.
Yeah.
And I have this new app called Picture This. I'll take a picture of it, and it'll tell me what it is, and I'll Google it and be like, can I like eat this? What can I use this
Yeah.
for? And I think that we do add special qualities to a community when we are living out on the land. Like
Mhm.
people are calling me. Some people will call me a medicine woman now because I have like all this knowledge, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm there yet. Like. There were like shamans, and there's this belief that people with autism had this. Well, they walked both the spiritual world and the physical world, like animals do. Like,
Yes.
right? You see a cat hiss at nothing, you're like, oh my god, is there a ghost there?
Yeah, right.
So, like, I think that's one thing that we're missing. And living in big cities, like I'm always like, why do you live in Toronto, my friends? Like,
Oh, I moved
come to
outside. I've got
Saskatchewan.
the woods in my backyard. It's the best shift for me, like
Yeah.
moving toward nature, because I used to overlook the 401, which is a big highway. Not good.
I used to love counting the cars outside your
You
house.
did like coming to visit that, but oh my gosh, it's so much better to have the woods that I can just walk into. And like you said, the air is fresher, like everything is so much better, and things slow, and I can take pictures of all the mushrooms I find. I don't actually ever pick them or eat them because I have no idea what they are, what could kill me, but I love, I love finding them.
I have an app very similar to what Julianna was saying, and it's a crowdsourced app. I think actually we have two of them between my wife and I, and mushrooms is just really funny because you'll take a picture of a mushroom and they go, this can be this or this or this, and you look it up and this one's delicious. This one will kill you slowly and this one will kill you instantly, and it's like, I'm not making that judgment right now. That can just a thought has just passed my mind, and I honestly wonder if somebody's talked about this. As you talked about your experience in your community, and then let's go back 100 years, where being autistic may have been seen as an advantage in certain ways. And excuse me for saying this, but more actually, I was going to say traditional. No, I don't mean that. Non-Western. And I'm thinking of the Korean Maori back in Australia. I'm thinking of the Maori in New Zealand, how they honor autism with words very similar to something we're going to be talking about. I kind of just suddenly thought, is autism as a difference a Western thing?
It's pathologized because of Western culture entirely. Yeah.
And would we be seen as different in the 1300s?
In like indigenous
In the West,
societies?
in the West, I think more tradition. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it
It's
might
like,
depend.
look at old Peter over there just trying to talk to animals. Maybe he's a witch.
That's true.
yeah.
I bet a lot of us got
That woman said she could talk to a cat. Burn her.
However, because communities were smaller, less overstimulating with lights and sounds and all this stuff, you might just like live on your farm and have a very content life, you know? Like, I think in some settings we would thrive, and others, yeah, for sure, people would find things to find weird. But our definition of weird is much like we pathologize way more now, I feel.
Yeah. And it's back to normality. It's back to the his name has just escaped me, the Belgian mathematician that invented the idea of normal as a measurable metric. Now we have these standards. And as we're talking, I'm just thinking of possibly the worst thing that's happening over there, and I'm pointing south over the border.
Seattle, okay.
Is in fact making normality is becoming narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower. And I didn't think about that until just thinking about it now, and how scary that is.
I have a great reading on the rise of normalcy I'll send to you because you'll like it. It's very nerdy. But yeah, that's something that in the 20th and 21st centuries has become more and more prevalent in how we think. Like, we're less accepting of individual difference, individual presentations, and the rise of neoliberalism, capitalism drove that. I'm not going to even open that.
Yeah.
My favorite ranting topic, Juliana.
Yeah, capitalism and the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm like, you know what? Don't get me started because I will go off.
Yeah.
And yes, we all go off. And I think that's a really good thing. But it's also, I mean, I think it's why we need to mention it all the time, is because almost every problem we have as autistics is based from, yes, capitalism, but very specifically now neoliberalism. That idea that there is this narrowing of normality, that everything has a dollar exchange value. Even we're talking about spirituality in certain respects, and we have this concept of an Indigenous one, we have a concept of a Western one, and an Eastern one, but it doesn't have economic value.
Mm-hmm. It's like anyone with any type of disability where you can't do as much is seen as like bad. Mm-hmm. So if you have like a physical disability, a neurodevelopmental disability, it's like, oh, you just need to push through and just work.
Yes.
And it's like you have to work so much harder.
Yeah.
To do what like an allistic person or a neurotypical person can do, and they have no idea what that's like. Mm-hmm. Like I never got to that academic article you sent me because I have such a hard time reading anything that I can't feel.
I use a lot of like
writing things I can't feel.
Speech to text or text to speech readers because sometimes listening helps more. But yeah, no worries. Yeah.
And like I want to.
Yeah.
I really want to. I'm like, oh, Grant Bruno was talking about this. Like, I really want to read it.
Yeah.
My brain's like,
Does that mean you have to print if you printed it out, it would be easier on paper? Or
I was thinking about that because I tried it on my phone and it's like the screen's so small.
Yeah.
And I get distracted. And I'm like, what if I just exit out this a little bit and go to TikTok or
But there's something to be said. Here's another tangent, but something to be said for printed text too. I remember printed text better than a screen because I think the screen moves. I don't remember where things are on the page the way I do if I have a tangible hard copy of something. Plus I love the smell of books and paper and things like that that you don't get.
we grew up with printed
That's
paper, like
true.
reading physical books, and
Yeah.
like that became a part of like the way that we got used to reading.
Yeah, I mean, my parents love e-readers. I can't do it. Like it does not spark joy. It's not like I the screen does not help me, and I don't love it or fall into it the same way and get absorbed by it. Yeah.
I often I have a lot of music behind me, and I also have the electronic version on the iPad because there's a practicality. Like doing a
Music makes
gig,
sense. Yeah.
I can, well, does it?
Well, for accessibility, like I can't carry all my CDs around.
Well, and that's the thing. Like going to a gig, I just need to take my iPad, and the iPad is charged, and it's backlit, so I don't have to worry about lighting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's an immense practicality as a performer for my music to be on the iPad. But I have when I'm playing on the piano here,
Yeah.
there's the score is usually there, and I still listen to. I can tell in recordings where there's just this micro time temporal change in the performance because that's where I turn the page in practice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we do have that rhythm of breathing as well. I have to say that I should really be talking about this a lot more at work. A good friend of mine is at Mount Royal, and he's technically he's a computer science professor, but his degree is in political science, and he really wants to be a literary historian. He's done some really extensive research about comprehension, online comprehension, and across the board,
Yeah.
online comprehension is terrible.
Yeah.
Like down to I think 25% of what it would be in physicality.
Yeah.
And he said no one is interested in this research because it's so much easier to put text on screens. It's so much easier for us to present via video rather than in person.
Mhm.
It's economically more, but the comprehension, like pure comprehension online is terrible,
Yeah.
even for experienced readers.
Wow.
And Cara, you and I are experienced readers.
Yes, I feel like I haven't read as much as I should, but again, that's probably neoliberalism. Like uh, productivity, we feel like our work is our worth, and that's hugely problematic. And when I think about like my brother's autistic, he has an intellectual disability, he doesn't have a job, but to my life, he is invaluable. Like he brings so much, but from the metrics, Western metrics, people would think he was not a contributor, right? Like, why do we value work and not kindness and gentleness and love and these qualities that really, I guess they're all related to community care as well, that like Western culture, neoliberalism, capitalism tries to get rid of. So maybe that's why.
So how about that? How about that weather? How about that sports team last day? Did they spoil it?
Sports.
Yeah. Now, I'd love to hear more about your diagnosis experience and how you came to understand your own autism and ADHD, and yeah, a little bit about your journey.
So throughout my life, I always had trouble paying attention in school. Whenever the teacher was talking, my mind would just go off into like I'm just daydreaming, whatever, and then I'd be like, "Oh, whoops, what was he saying?"
Yeah,
And like sitting down to just study, like especially with textbooks, like I said before, like reading academia is difficult because I can't feel it, which is like I didn't know that at the time. I was just like, why can't I like sit down and read this? As opposed to like just being able to sit like literally all day long and reading multiple novels in a day, but I couldn't sit down and read a textbook. I was like, I know the words, I know what they're saying, but it's not like really registering in me.
Yeah.
But I never really struggled in school because I could just like figure it out, I guess. Um, it wasn't until I was in college that I was getting like really behind on work because it was like more work piled on to us than I was ever used to.
Yeah.
And before that, going on to sites like Reddit and Imager where people are talking about like ADHD and that there are different subtypes of ADHD. And I started like Googling ADHD and then like ADHD in women, and I was like, oh, I struggle with like this and this and this and
Yeah.
this. And then I took like self-evaluation tests and it was like a really high score, and I was like, huh, do I have ADHD? I was like, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah.
And then I went to our school psychologist and told him how I was like struggling and the struggles I had in the past with school. And then he did the assessment and diagnosed me with inattentive ADHD. And then a few years later, I think I was in a ADHD subreddit and I was kind of just venting about the social problems that I have, like how I understand a bit more how my mind works, but like no matter what, I just can't understand people.
Mhm.
And a user was like, oh, maybe you have autism as well. And so I started looking at like autism in a woman, and I was like, huh,
Mhm.
supreme pattern recognition. I remember thinking when I was like 18 or 19, isn't it interesting how there's patterns everywhere?
Mhm.
Yeah. So in 2019, I went to Autism Services Saskatchewan. I can't remember what it's called.
Yep, that's
to
right.
do a pre-assessment interview, and the person who was talking to me afterwards was like, well, I don't think you quite meet the criteria for autism. You do show some emotion when you're speaking, and
Oh my
you
God.
do have some interest in dating. And I'm just thinking, that sounds like she's going off of these like stereotypes. And like
Yeah.
back then, like this was before I started working on like myself, and I like still was very quiet. Like I never spoke publicly. I was like that kid that didn't speak unless they were spoken to because I didn't understand like, when is it my turn to speak?
Yeah.
Am I speaking too much? So then I was like, well, maybe I don't have autism. Like maybe it is more of the inattentive ADHD. So I kind of like I just wasn't sure what to think. And then but there's still this thing at the back of my mind. It was like, well, she didn't actually do the assessment. So like, I
Yeah.
don't know, but I kind of struggled with that for a few years. And then
What a setback, like on your journey too.
yeah. And like from a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
But then it's just like now I look back and it's like there's still people in like who study the mind who
Mhm.
still go off of like generalizations and stereotypes because like
Mhm.
this is still something that needs more like work.
Yes.
But I started working with other people who were like me, who were like very, very sensitive, very gentle, very like understanding and compassionate, and like very high justice sensitivity.
Yes.
And I met with Jolene Stockman, and she was talking about like the gifts of being neurodivergent, and how she got diagnosed as an adult because she ended up in autistic burnout,
Mhm.
and she happened to have a doctor that like saw the signs and like knew about autism and like suggested that she go and get
Yeah.
an assessment. And then I was like, you know what? I think I should try again for an assessment because I'm just not satisfied with the idea that I don't have autism because I do not understand people still.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was also not sure if it was like autism or like CPTSD and ADHD because
Right. Yeah.
CPTSD symptoms can like also mimic autism. So I did like
And you can have all
therapy.
three. So which is a nice, fun cocktail.
Yeah. I did I got really, really deep into therapy, did like lots of healing, and I was like, okay, I still have these issues, so like I'm gonna fight for this assessment. And I emailed someone from Autism Services in Saskatoon, and they had a really long wait list, which I guess is pretty common. And they suggested some other places, and one of them was through the University of Saskatchewan. Unfortunately, they like all these other places have you have to pay for it.
Mhm. Yeah.
It can be up to $3,000, and I was like,
Unbelievable. Yeah.
3,000?
up to $3,000.
Oh, that's cheap.
Like, that's
No,
crazy.
quite honestly,
For 4.5.
We tell people it's 2-year waiting list with up to $5,000, and it's just because you've got to be prepared for that if you go into private, and
like the fact that it's not covered, and how much like just having that like diagnosis and like putting it onto paper to show like a doctor or like the CRA, like you can apply for a disability tax credit. There's no guarantee you'll get approved, but you can try. But
and all the other health outcomes, right? Like autistic people have different health needs,
and the comorbidities of like anxiety and depression,
autoimmune disorders, all sorts of things.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Right. But with the U of S, so because it was just the university, their price is lower. It's like $1,800, but I was like
still a lot.
Still broke.
Yeah.
But they happened to have a master's student that needed to do a psychoeducational assessment to get their degree. And they're like, if you're okay with a master's student doing this, we can waive the fee. So I was like, oh, absolutely, for sure. As long as it's free. And they're like, okay, let's get you in like 3 weeks. So they just like pushed me ahead because I was okay with that. And then I did the assessment and I was diagnosed with level 2 autism.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be mild because like no one ever was like, you seem a little weird, you seem a little autistic. But I think like the biggest area it showed through my assessment was like in socialization. So people just thought I was like quiet, or they thought I was like cold because like resting autistic face. I like
right. I still, even though like my partner's also autistic, but I will still sometimes be like, when I come home today, I was like, I have no energy. Don't take it like I'm mad at you in any way. Like I don't have the energy to change my face at all. Like like I'm gonna look angry, but I'm not with you. Like I still have to do that because I can't even sometimes.
I was told off this morning. My wife has ADHD, and she was very grumpy, and I was trying to be a nice husband, but boy, she just went off on me because time change. Because she was asked to do something this morning for a very good friend, which we do, but it's made her, for her prepare to work, she's like, these got 6 steps. And the time change has put the 6 steps in put it off, and doing this favor for the friend who, very close friend, like her steps are just out. And she just said her life was chaotic. And I was just not helping because her ADHD was making everything get chaotic. And I was like, I know all about this, but I'm sorry, sweetie. Sorry. And it was like,
Oh, I know that well. Being thrown by all those things.
But it's also, it also shows, I think, how honest we have to be in relationships.
Yeah.
And not to, in the moment, it was tough for me, but I know perfectly well. I understand,
Yeah.
I got what was going on, sort of, because I will never understand that chaos she has with time. Because time for me, if the steps don't happen, they just disappear and I just do something else. And I don't care that the task wasn't completed because it was stopped.
Oh my gosh, no, time works so differently I don't even know if I can describe how time works for me. Because there's both like a now and not now, but there's also an always. Like time is like cyclical, like everything happens I can't describe time, but
see, I also have ADHD.
Yeah.
So like I can do chaos, but then I need routine.
Yeah.
But then routine gets boring.
Right.
And I need to break out of the monotony of that. It's like there's always this struggle. It's like if I don't see something, I forget it's there. So I have like that
I can do that too.
Clutter all around my house. I have to see it.
Yeah.
But I also can't stand the idea of like things not being clean. So it's like it's clean,
but
and then
cluttered.
It's like too cluttered. I'm like, this is too much. I have to organize. I have to put this away, and then it's organized for like a little bit, and then it kind of builds up because I need to see it. But I also cannot have a dirty sink.
Oh, well, that's a good habit to have, right? Like that's hygiene. Hygiene's important.
Like no, Mom, do not put things in my sink. That's dirty.
Yeah.
rinse that off, please. I'm like, whoa. Let's clean up your coffee spill. Come on, what is this
Yeah.
place? Jeez.
I find that like that's one of the interesting parts is like having sort of competing needs even within yourself, right? Because it's
Mhm.
like I'm the same where it's like I really want things to be predictable and structured, but I also hate that sometimes, and I need novelty, and forming new habits just feels like this is something I have to do forever. I don't want to do this something forever. Like I just get overwhelmed
Mhm.
by some of those things, and yeah, there's like always a struggle. Always a struggle to get things done and done how I like them. But if they're not done well, I hate it. And oh,
As I'm listening to this, and I'm also getting a text from my wife saying that she was happy that her chaos helped our podcast. I'm thinking about creativity and creativity expanding in the arts, but even to like, business or foraging. I love improvising. That's always part of my music. My music training is like I've had a career as a jazz musician and a classical musician, and I love the idea of improvisation. And I've never kind of worked out how that fits with my autism.
huh. I
Do
mean,
you, do you like it when other people improvise?
oh, good question.
Uh, Fundamentally, yes, but it has to be done the correct way, and that's a little. And look, I've played with like world famous jazz musicians, and that's been fantastic. And I've been playing with like amateurs, who's also been fantastic because their improvisation is open to what's going on. I've played with many jazz musicians whose idea of improvisation is to basically just follow the same thing over again, and that bores me senseless.
See, I
Um,
don't like it when something happens when I'm not expecting it.
Mhm.
If I do something when someone else isn't expecting it, it's fine for me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, if I text someone out of the blue, I'm like, hey, do you want to go check this thing out, like, right now? It's cool. But if someone texts me out of the blue and it's like, hey, do you want to go do karaoke in an hour? I'm like, no, I gotta like mentally prepare to be around people. I don't want to do anything suddenly. How dare you?
And I
is
could go
that
either way. I could go either way. Sometimes I'd be like, yes, even though my nervous system is a little like, I also am drawn to that and excited by that. And other times I'd be like, no, you need to ask me at least a week in advance. Like, uh,
is that because of the control that when we
I think
ask
so.
somebody, we have control, and that's
predictability.
Yeah,
Um,
predictability.
But then also, like I'm thinking about creativity, and Juliana, I bet you can speak to this too, as a creative person, as a writer. But like I don't plan my writing. I'm terrible at sort of that top-down approach. Like the structure evolves, and I love to sort of improvise when I write, when I create poetry, whatever it is. I'm surprised all the time by what comes out. um, so I wonder if that's the same vein as you, Bruce, with music. Is that like A, because I can't really plan it, um, executive functioning, ADHD, but just yeah, a different way of approaching how we make things. Juliana, what do you think?
I think it could be a little bit of everything. Being able to like predict what's happening. Like you like to improvise, and it's in a creative space.
Mhm.
I have such a hard time like planning what I'm gonna write as well. Like
Yeah,
I'm writing this documentary and I'm like, what do I want to say? What am
yeah,
I trying to like plan? It's like I just gotta write what I feel for a while,
yeah,
multiple
and then
times,
make
and
sense
I
of
can
it.
like pick that out.
Yeah,
If I'm in like a creative space where we're like throwing ideas out, I
mhm,
love hearing like what everyone has.
yeah,
Outside of like something like that where like I have some kind of control or like I can predict it, then it's like no, too much. I don't
yeah,
like it.
yeah. Hmm, interesting.
it's interesting. I hate being in a room with people throwing out ideas because it's so random, and if I'm like developing something in team, I'll have an idea of a structure. What I'm actually really proud of is that I may often go in with an idea of a structure, but I'm not wedded to it. I'm open to it being open. But where people are just like that idea of let's just spitball and throw ideas is like, oh my God, that is so freaking random. And no, a little bit of control, please.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how much of that's just my personality, the two.
I wonder if like it's my ADHD side that does like some randomness.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
having both ADHD and we need someone here who only has ADHD so that we have like the whole spectrum.
If only. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I don't think they exist.
but yeah, really interesting. Yeah, there is that tension, control versus spontaneity. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna be thinking about this for a while after this.
Well, and I think like as we're talking, I'm sort of going internal and thinking about my reaction and sort of more general reactions. And I think it's kind of I think even when we're not in control,
Mhm.
we have the predictability. And I'm
Mhm.
just thinking of Belgian researcher, autism and predictive brain.
You're talking about Peter Vermeulen? Is that
Yes,
right?
Vermeulen. Yeah, Peter Vermeulen. Um, I actually like random art. I do like going to a gallery where an artist has basically thrown things in the like just put it there.
Whereas I don't. I'm like, what is that?
But pattern recognition.
Yeah.
What I'll do is go and look for the patterns.
Yeah, yeah.
But I still think there is a predictive framework. Like you walk into an art gallery, you know that the artist has done been completely random. That has given me a framework to play around with, and I'm quite happy just to let that be and not be upset by it.
Mhm.
I hate balloons because of the unpredictability.
Oh, interesting.
They can pop at any time and make a loud noise, which frightens me. It has always frightened me, and so I cannot be in a room with a balloon.
I also struggle to blow them up, so I really don't like them for many reasons. But
I had to in earlier teaching career, like you blow up a balloon. It's like no way.
Yeah, yeah.
But you have to.
That's a good point about the unpredictability of things. All right, I want to get back on a different topic that we haven't touched on yet. But yeah, so coming to terms with being autistic, I know that you talked about in your bio, and then I think in an earlier email that we had, and your beautiful piece that you recently wrote, the article that I will post in the show notes, um, talking about how learning more about being Indigenous and Indigenous views really helped you. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so when I was first like looking into autism, I kind of struggled with like telling people like I think I might be autistic because there's such a like negative view of people with
Yes.
autism. They're like, oh, people with autism are like they speak very and like monotonously and they like they have meltdowns and they're like very weird. And I was like, I don't want people to think I'm weirder than I already am.
Right.
We think I'm a bit odd. And then it was learning about like a more I'm just struggling for words right now. My mind's
Just doing that old
some kind of perspective that saw it in like a good light, like looking at these qualities as like special and good as opposed to like odd and weird and bad.
Yeah.
So learning about the Mari word, which translates to in their own space or time.
Yes.
People would always be like, are you just in your own world? Like, I was just talking to you.
Where did you go?
Yeah, I saw you the other day and I was yelling your name and you didn't even look at me. I was like,
yeah.
Did you?
Like, I don't remember that.
Yeah. And I saw a TikTok of a guy who said that there was another Mari word that translates to gift of the sensories.
Mhm.
And I always saw my sensory issues as like a bad thing, like it's too much, there are noises that are too loud. I can hear the electricity
Yeah.
in freezers and like fridges, and if I go to a grocery store and have to go get some like frozen vegetables, it's just loud, and some are louder than the others, and it hurts.
Yes.
But then I think about how I am in like nature,
Yeah.
and how I feel like I can feel like the energy of trees and like animals, and like I'm on the same like frequency as them. And then I was like, I guess in that place it would be a gift, because it's like you can feel changes in the air. Like it just feels like you're in a different world almost, than being in like a city where there's a bunch of cars and it's really loud, and like being in a room or like in a bar where there's like all these voices and everyone's talking.
I never understood how other people could do that. Like I
it's like, how do your brain can filter that out?
I'm like, I can't even speak when it gets loud, but I just assumed no one could hear anyone else anyway. Like I didn't realize I was having different experiences, the same sensory input. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when I learned about different Indigenous like words that describe those with autism, and the teachings that went with it, like people with autism in like a Cree perspective were thought of as having spiritual gifts. So just saying the word gifted, and being in a space with other people, and like I facilitated sharing circles for over a year. So and there was these like guided questions. So someone would share something and then I would respond. And that's where I felt like I really flourished, because we were like expected to go deep. And that's like, I always have so many like thoughts and feelings, and I like never know when to bring it up. And there's some people who I know just don't care about it, and they just don't think that way. So like being able to talk about like my special connection to nature, or like how I see things, and like just responding to people's emotions with like gentleness. And a coworker and friend told me in that space that my gentleness was my greatest strength. And that started to shift things. Like it was in that space where I was told that I was like gifted. And I was like, oh my God, no one's ever said I was gifted. And like people there called me like a medicine woman. So I was talking about what medicines I found that can help with like various things. And people can see that I obviously love talking about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so in this Indigenous space where we're encouraged to be open, where if someone cries, we tell them like, your tears are sacred, they're cleansing, and they also open up the circle. Like that makes me feel like I belong. Like I really felt like I belonged in that space where I'm encouraged to be open, I'm encouraged to be deep, like I'm encouraged to go into the side of myself that I tried to suppress. I really tried to suppress my sensitivity throughout my entire life. I hated it for so long because I'd get sad very easily. I like pushed away so many tears, and I was like,
cry so easily.
And now, so going into this space where I'm very much encouraged to embrace those aspects of myself. That's something that like really helped. And I just wanted to, and I still want to just learn more. I want to like go to so many different like nations across the world, Indigenous nations, and just see what they can find in their own language, because a lot of Indigenous languages are becoming endangered because of colonization. But I want to like know what the different translations are. Same with like they're two-spirited people. Like what are their legends? What are their stories? What's their language? Because
you need to make that documentary. Like I want someone to find you going around the world. Oh my gosh, that
and Canada now is like, we want a fun language. Heck yeah! So I'm like, I should do that. Like, but yeah, that's something that I think would be really interesting. I'm surprisingly good on camera, because it's a space where like I'm allowed to put on like a character.
Yeah.
I always I wanted to be an actor when I was a kid, actually.
Me too. I have my undergraduate degrees in theater, and like I used to practice in the mirror, like I'd mimic things. So got really good.
Be in the bathroom and I'd be like just improvising with myself.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I kind of thrive being a video journalist. But then people would see me on TV or like, and I was interviewing them and they'd be like, oh, you're very like social and extroverted and you're probably popular. And I'd just be like really quiet in the office. They're like, wait, I don't get you.
There's that two duality of I'm pretty good. Like I used to do all the media interviews for Autism Canada, and I've always been okay on camera and good on radio. But importantly, I can walk in front of 10,000 people and sight read a piece of music, and that does not worry me one little bit. But I can't go to a bank and talk to a bank manager. And so it's like, the thing is that sometimes we are more honest when we're performing, whether that is creating music or writing or being on television, than it is in the real world.
I think it's the predictability and control. Like we can predict those roles when you're on camera. Like before I knew I was autistic, I used to refer to like, I'd be like, okay, now I'm going to be professional care. I'm going into this meeting. I have to be professional care. Like, but it was just the name of my mask, the role that I would put on that I felt was so distinct from like regular me, who maybe speaks a little too bluntly, too freely. I knew that I had to be certain ways in certain contexts. But yeah, like Bruce, like you just mentioned, several times in the last like couple of months, I have gone to a gas station and I've gone to like fill up my car, and there's been a sign or the person has come over the voice system saying, oh, you have to pay in advance inside. And I both times the light was on, that the gas was so low, and I was like, nope, bye, you can't force me to socialize. Like, I'm not prepared for this interaction. I just wanted to pay with my credit card and leave. I am going to drive even though I'm on fumes and find another gas station. So
yeah, people are often confused how like I'm very open about like being anxious. And they're like, how are you on camera if you have anxiety? So I'm like, well, I'm talking at something. And then I'm like, that's fine. I can talk at my computer. I can talk at a camera. It's not going to laugh at me. But talking with a person, like one-on-one in person, that's terrifying.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know what to say. I can't just stop and think for a moment. And like, there's body language. Are my eyes like up enough? Am I accidentally staring at them? What
have I blinked enough? Yeah. When do I look away? Okay, they
how much eye contact is too much? Like, I don't want to look off to the side and seem weird. And like to allistics, it's just this innate knowledge. And I'm like, how do you do that? How do you just know? This is why I prefer animals.
Yeah, animals are so much easier. Yeah.
And like they understand. I mean, my dog kind of gives me this odd side eye sometimes, but he still loves me.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what. I agree.
But I think with like doing public speaking, anywhere where you can put on a character, it's also kind of a creative outlet.
Yeah, that's true.
I observe people all the time, and sometimes I'm like, I wonder what it's like to be this like extroverted person that's just like able to make friends anywhere they go. So I like observe them.
Yeah.
Then I just mimic it.
Yes.
I'm just mimicking people. That's all I do.
Yeah. It didn't happen a lot for me, but like every once in a while I'd be going to like a social event, somebody's party, and I would have talked myself in, like, go for an hour and then you can leave. But I would I would go into this role where I was someone who really enjoyed and was charming and all these things. But like, and
your natural state.
No, not at all. Much more smooth and like, but I like this, it was like this thing that would just click in and I could do it for a little while and then I'd be exhausted the next day.
Yeah, it's exhausting. Putting on that like energy.
Yeah.
Being like social and engaging. Yeah. Constantly engaging. Like you have to respond immediately. And it's like, can I just be myself? Why do you have to think I'm so weird? I just want to have a flat face and like speak about how interesting the nervous system is.
Exactly.
I don't care about like surface level talk. It's so boring. And then I'm like searching for some other stimuli and I have to like try and focus on whatever uninteresting thing they're talking about.
Yeah. And I do feel like when we're together with other neurodivergent people. Like when Bruce came to visit me, for instance, like we would just like go for a walk in this forest. Remember, we went forest bathing, and it's like you don't have to look at each other. You don't even have to talk the whole time. But it's just like that pressure is not there. That pressure to perform, to interpret. It's like you can just be and take things at, you know, at their worth, like what people say, you can just believe it. There's not like this level of subtext that everybody else seems to have all of the time. And oh my gosh, what a difference.
I still remind people, autistic people I work with, that this discussion we're just having actually is an advantage once we're a little more mature, is that we recognize when we're masking, and we recognize that the masks we need to put on. And I kind of point out that like neurotypical people are masking all the time, but a lot of times they're not aware of it. And the thing is that sometimes it's an advantage for us to be recognizing that there are times we have to mask. There are times where we are in situations where we have to suppress certain behaviors, certain responses, just for social contract. And, talking to
safety for some people, right?
Yes. I kind of be more obtuse by sort of saying, like, there's certain things where if you're meeting the King of England, there's a mask.
You have to do this, you have to do that. Yeah.
We're aware of it. We're aware of, okay, these are the things I need to be now thinking about. Which allows us sometimes to have that. I need to go to a social engagement. Okay, so I need 3 hours of preparation. I'm going through some practice conversations, topics or whatever. I know who's going to be there, and I know I need 2 days off afterwards.
Yeah, the restoration.
Yeah. So it's the understanding of the masking we do as autistic people. And then trying to work out when we can control that, when it's necessary.
It's interesting when two autistic or a group of autistic people meet each other and then they realize that like they all have autism. It's like,
and they can drop it,
let it go and show you who I really am. Yeah. With with holistics, I feel like it takes a while to know who they really are.
Yeah.
Because they don't even realize how like they mask around other people and they like really hide these parts of themselves. And I get really impatient and I'm like, I want to ask you these really deep questions and just know who you are, because I know like this isn't truly you. And it's like, just lay it down. Let me see.
Exactly.
I don't feel safe.
So now I'm thinking about like increased awareness that we might have, especially once whether or not we're diagnosed, but we're aware of our this aspect of our identity. And then going back to and like recognizing times in your life that you were masking and didn't realize that's what you were doing and suppressing your own sort of instincts. Bruce, were you about to ask a question?
Yeah, well, no, I was just going to say, like, I have a good friend who has an honest superpower to connect people. And what he has done, I was thinking some things in the past as well. He's not frightened to ask a deep question. And he works in real estate development, something like that. He actually does a whole bunch of things. But what he says is his superpower is he can talk to 15 people and ask more deeper questions than a non-autistic and holistic person does. And then go, hang on, person 1 and person 7 need to meet, because then they can help person 4. That will get the funding for person 9 to build this project that everybody's working towards. And it's like, yeah.
That's cool.
And then he collapses.
Yeah.
Then he has to sort of hide for 2 days. But it's like, it is that, I was thinking, I used to play soccer, and I was with a team for like 2 years, and I was the only person that asked anybody what they did. All the conversation you'd place, and this is a team that kind of was sort of, they'd been together for a couple of years. You play the game, and they drink a couple of beers, and they go home. And the only conversation they would often have would be if one of their sons was playing in the same team, one of their daughters was playing the same team, and I would actually sort of ask one of them, like, what do you do? Where do you come from? Things like that. And suddenly I was seeing all these connections that these people, like, do you not know you work in the the same company, and they were unaware of it. I again like that when you can drop the mask.
It's so weird because, like, social curiosity, obviously the stereotypes that we're not socially curious, but like
We are so socially curious.
socially curious in a different way than holistics.
Mhm.
Now, I'm conscious about the time, but I also wanted to talk about your journey, discovering that you're two-spirited. Did you want to, like, how
Yeah.
does that parallel your discovery of your neurodivergence? Like, did they happen at the same time, different times? I'd love to know more.
Well, I was diagnosed with ADHD in 2017, and I found my knowledge keeper in, I think it was 2020 actually.
Mhm.
I I wrote some fictional legends in 2015, and I read them at the college I went to in 2017, I think.
Okay.
My knowledge keeper was the school's Indigenous coordinator. Um, so they asked me to like read those legends, and then a couple years later, I saw them, or maybe it was like 1 year later, I saw them as a friend suggestion. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll add them as a friend because I talked to them a couple times, and one day they just put on Facebook that they were going to go medicine picking, and if anyone wants to join, just message them. And I was like, hey, I want to come.
Pick me.
Yeah. And then we started going medicine picking once in a while, and they're a two-spirit person. And so I think it was when I made another friend who was a part of this like hand drum group, and they brought me into it. And then I started going to like moon ceremonies,
Yeah.
which a moon ceremony, so pre-colonial times, when a woman was on her menstrual cycle,
Mhm.
they had a moon lodge, and like it was thought of as a like your body is going through a ceremony, so it's like releasing, and like a woman didn't have to do anything. She would just go to this lodge and like sit and like pray. And if she had a child, the family would come and they'd take the baby and
Yeah.
they take care of it and just bring it in for like feedings. So
Yet another reason colonialism is the worst.
right,
So
I'm like,
so
you should
we
at
flip it,
least
but-
get like a few days off of work for a
Right.
month. Like my body's going through ceremony. Come on.
And the West, historically, often women were banished at that period. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's the same physicality, but completely different thought behind the emotions between the two cultures there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and a lot of indigenous nations were matriarchal, so women were held in like high esteem because they created life and they
Yeah.
brought in like babies and they were matrilineal. So
Yeah.
it's like the opposite of like the father holding the bloodline. It's like no, the bloodline comes through the mother. But so as I was hanging out like with these other people that were gay and non-binary and trans, I started to remember how as a kid I was like very confused about my gender. I remembered that when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I had this feeling inside of me that I was supposed to be a boy. And my mom said, God made you a girl and God just made mistakes. So I'm like, okay, I guess I have to be a girl, even though this doesn't feel right. But I tried to like push myself into that. But I still like, I wore baby clothes. There's a couple photos I have of me as a kid where like I look like a boy because I'm like wearing a backwards hat and I was like a skater boy.
Yeah.
And so like I remembered because I tried to push it away because like it wasn't something that other people accepted. It was growing up in the North, people were still quite like homophobic and very very patriarchal and into the idea that like men are men and they do man things and women are women and they do women things. Men work and the women do everything else. Like I saw women like raising children, having babies and working full time and like cleaning and cooking. And then they'd like say men are strong and I'd be thinking, women are stronger? Like why is no one saying this? Women are doing literally everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my mom can like hunt and trap and like scrape a hide, but men are stronger for some reason. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's like, okay, well, my questions are always never answered, or I'm told to like just not question and listen, right? So
Yeah.
Why? Why?
I don't know.
Why?
That's something I think children should be allowed to be curious and then maybe
Agreed.
more critical thinking.
Exactly.
But anyway, back to what I was saying. So I just tried to like push away this like gender confusion that I had, and like I tried to like be society's idea of what like a girl is. I started dressing like a girl when I was about 15, and people were nice to me. Like everyone was nice to me. Boys were nicer, other girls were nicer. So I was like, okay, well, people are nice to me when I look like a girl on the outside, so I'll try and be this. And I really tried to like suppress that side of me. And I kind of forgot about it. And then being in this environment where people are just like openly gay and like, my knowledge keeper is non-binary, and they're very much like, no, my pronouns are they, them, and like getting on people, and like everyone around there really tried to like respect each other, and learning about like two-spirit teachings. Like I worked for a two-spirit organization, and I learned of this, I think, Ojibwe word for a two-spirit person, which means the in-between people. And that's when I was like, oh my God, that's what I am. Because I always felt like
Power of language, eh?
right. Like I'm in between man and woman. I'm in between gay and straight. I'm even in between Indigenous and European. Like I'm white on the outside. So I always felt like I was like in between these two worlds, and like I'm also in between the physical world and the spiritual world. So like this all encompassing way of being an in-between person.
All of these things where you're right in the middle of everything.
And so I went to some two-spirit culture camps, and an elder, so people were like, tell us about the two-spirit teachings, tell us how important we are. So she'd come out and be like, well, two-spirit people held balance in their communities. They were mediators, they were healers, they brought people together. And it was another space where I was able to look at this like this part of me that I suppressed that actually used to be thought of as very special. And I started to try to like embrace that masculine side of me. And then I kind of struggled with like how masculine am I, and like how feminine am I? And then I realized I feel like I'm pretty even like with my masculine and femininity. And with my clothing, like I have a mixture of like masculine and feminine clothing. I like to wear my high top like basketball shoes, and then some like skinnier pants, and then maybe like a hoodie, and some nice earrings. I got an undercut that like I also keep because I just can't stand feeling anything on my ears.
Fair.
I like the sensory issues with my ears and like my neck, and I just can't stand it. And I also can't, I don't like feeling too much like a girl. It's like too pretty. I don't like it. It's like, and then people see me on the outside. They expect me to be a certain way. And it's like, no, I don't want that. I want to just be who I am. And it wasn't until I found two-spirit people and a two-spirit group where I really started to like be able to accept the gender fluidity of myself that I always tried to suppress and never really understood. And learning about how there were people who thought of someone like me as special, and they were like highly revered, and it was de-shaming as well. Like I had so much shame for being different. I think without realizing it, this idea that like, you know, God made me a certain way, and like you're supposed to be a girl, and
normality.
The normality of like gender, and like feeling bad that I didn't want, or like
it didn't resonate with you.
It just didn't feel right, and feeling this confusion of like, why can't I just be this way and like be accepted for who I am, and feel like I have to fit myself into a certain mold that I just like it's kind of breaking me on the inside. So like that's why I speak up about it, because these pre-colonial Indigenous views helped me to let go of the shame I didn't even realize I was holding. Same with autism. Like I had to really let go of shame of being different and like thinking differently, and just like not understanding people, because people are very social. And I was teased throughout my life because of these differences, and just like letting go of the shame that like it's not my fault I was born a certain way. And then like I would tell myself like it's not my fault. I think differently. Like
Yeah.
colonial, I would have been highly revered. I'm so
Exactly.
sacred.
And besides like letting go of shame, which of course is extraordinarily important, what did these sort of discoveries, both being neurodivergent, being two-spirit, like how has that enhanced your life?
I feel like I'm finally allowing myself to be who I am. I'm finally just like completely letting go of this mold that I tried to just like force myself into. And I don't know, I feel like I can breathe now. Like I feel more relaxed. My nervous system uh is like regulating. Like I'm doing a lot of work, but
Yeah.
also letting go of the shame when I'm like out in public.
Yeah.
And if I'm wearing really baggy clothes, like I don't tense up so much and think like, what if this person points out me and laughs at me or like
Yeah. Yeah.
looks at me, is like, you're like gay as heck. It's like letting go of fear of judgment is a big thing. Allowing and embracing these things that I was born with, because
Yeah.
from like early childhood, I knew that I was different, both like within my gender as well as being neurodivergent. So like learning about the two-spirited identity and these different like language words from nations with being two-spirit and like being autistic, it's like I don't feel so broken. Before I felt very broken, like there's things wrong with me. And that's why I felt like I had to like force myself into something that just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So I finally like feel like I'm living my life as I was meant to.
I'm so
It's
glad.
like, yeah, it's when I stop and think about it, I'm like, holy shit, that's beautiful.
It really is. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
I was thinking actually, and I must also admit I'm fading quickly, sillily, that it is actually fortunate that we are not really broken. That in our discovery journey, as we've been raised to think we're broken in certain ways, and part of the discovery journey is to find out that we're not that broken. Where there are people who are broken who may not have the ability to do the journey, and that makes me profoundly sad.
And I think this is why, I mean, you and I, Bruce, have always said like official diagnosis is helpful for a lot of reasons and can be important, but self-diagnosis, of course, is valid because many people don't, there's so many barriers, like you've already articulated, Juliana, in your process as well. And I tried to say this in another episode we had with a different guest, but like, although I understand restricting diagnoses to people who are in crisis and who are really, I don't know, have more visible needs, I guess. We need to have autistic, like happy stories. We need to have stories of strengths. We need to have stories that focus on how we can live authentic, fulfilled lives as well. And so that's why I think it's so important, the work that you are doing and trying to change the lens, the predominant lens, but certainly not the only lens or the most important lens of how people see neurodivergence, how people see, well, I guess every aspect of identity.
It's like promoting autistic pride, kind of. Like,
Yeah, and we're going to find out as we grow, like, and as we go through life, we'll find out about stigma. We'll find out about these the stereotypes, the myths, the things that are sometimes true or not at all true. But we also need to know about autistic joy and autistic survival and autistic nourishment, like how we nourish ourselves. So I think like all stories are important.
Cara, I think you need to be congratulated by a good friend. And just like I'm thinking about all the episodes I've been involved with in this podcast, like what we do here is reflect autistic joy and overcoming struggles without sort of talking about, we're just going to talk about all the happy stuff. Like we go through some dark stuff, but like,
got to do the holistic picture, I guess.
I mean, every guest I can think of, the positives outweigh the negatives in the present. And that's not to say, we all are still struggling day to day in various ways, but our lives can be really good.
And I think it speaks to the strength of community and connection. Like for me, hearing stories that resonate in certain ways, like hearing you talk, Julianna, about your childhood, and like I relate so much to those things because it is a part of my story as well. Like we're threaded together in some ways, and like I don't know, we just need to do more of this in all of our work. Yeah. Julianna, because I'm looking at the time, we've been talking for so long, and I feel like I could go on forever and ever and ask you so many things. And I do want to just quickly ask you about the piece that you wrote. What was the? I meant to pull it up. I think it was the CBC. No, which one was it? It was about Indigenous views. CBC. It's called Learning About Indigenous Views of Autism Opened the Door to Accepting Myself. So how did that piece come to be? Because that's our thing of the day, where we talk about one resource. And I really, my father sent this to me. This is how I learned about you. My father said, I think you'll really love reading this. And he was not wrong. And I read it and immediately I was like, I need to find this person because this is such a wonderful piece. So yeah, how did you come about writing that?
I was thinking about pitching a video idea to the CBC Creator Network for a while. It was like last fall about that subject, but I was really busy working. And then I was out of work and I got an email from the producer of CBC News in Regina that they're accepting new pitches for the Creator Network. So I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. I'll pitch them this idea for the video. But the video idea was very similar to what I had done about like the Indigenous lens of like Two-Spirit helped me to accept myself and like finding culture and going back to Larange as like in this drumming hand group. So she suggested writing a POV article.
Yeah.
So I wrote that and worked with one of their editors, and then they like published it. And I started getting these follow requests on Instagram because my account's private. And I was like, why are people suddenly trying to follow me?
So I was like, I found you on LinkedIn. So I was like, I'm not going to friend private accounts.
But then I got some messages through like Instagram and also Facebook of people saying like, thank you for writing this. I relate to it, especially like the connection with animals and nature, which like so many autistic people as kids thought they could talk to animals. That's one of my like my own diagnostic criteria for others is like if you didn't understand people and you really felt like you could talk to animals as a kid, like you're autistic.
My partner's like that, like just all the animals just like flock. In fact, I have a video because we got one of those bird cams, like bird feeder cams, and it's been so much fun. But when he goes out to fill the feeder, he sings the same song every time because he wants the birds to like hear the song and know. He whistles. Very cute.
Everybody does that, right?
I don't know that everybody does, Bruce.
No, they do.
But I've had, like, I remember having a student and, oh, she was so sweet. She just said, like, my dog never judges me. My dog unconditionally accepts me. It's so much easier. And all my students are also autistic, so that makes sense. But I feel like, yeah, we have that shared understanding.
Cats especially just come right up to me.
Yeah.
I love them when someone's like, oh my God, my cat normally doesn't like people.
Yeah.
Just came right up to you. I'm like,
and they're like,
that's because we're on the same spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. We understand one another.
And it was, I don't know how long ago it was. I was just like, it's interesting how similar to my own personality as to a cat.
Yeah.
And I saw this book called All Cats Have Autism. And I was like,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep. I've read
Which
that
makes
book.
sense, 'cause,
It
like,
makes so
Makes
much
sense.
sense.
I think it's over there on my shelf up there.
Yeah. 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 I only want those interactions on my own terms. So did they. I have a lot of need for my own personal space and time alone.
But it's also the empathy. Like anytime anybody in our family is sick,
Yeah.
their cats hang around them.
And so many
And
people have the wrong idea of cats, just like they do about autistic empathy.
Mm.
My dog doesn't have that emotional empathy. I
Interesting.
cry a lot, and he's like,
He's like,
let's
again.
go and catch a ball. Let's go and get a ball. Throw a stick, throw a stick, throw a stick.
playing with me, and I'm like, why aren't you one of those dogs that like comforts
Yeah.
the human when they're like in distress? He doesn't like it when anyone gets angry though.
Yeah. Well, I don't
So-
blame him there. Yeah.
Yeah. When he was a puppy and he'd be in trouble, he would just like jump up and start like licking me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it was so cute. Wait a minute. You're in trouble.
Oh, our pets. Oh my gosh. Well, I know Bruce is waning and I've been
Bruce
keeping
is
him for
very waning,
almost
sorry.
2 hours. So, thank you so much. It was really delightful to hear from you and have these conversations. And I hope we get to stay in touch and speak some more sometime. And keep us posted with all of your projects because this work is really important that you're doing.
Thank
I really, really, really want to see the film of you
Right?
going to the other nations and talking about the word they use. I think that is like so
that. I
interesting.
would pitch as like a docu-series.
Yeah.
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 Well, and especially like I'm a huge nerd, probably not a surprise to either of you, but one of the things that I really like looking up is languages that only have a couple of speakers left and conservation efforts and it's so necessary to do this kind of work, to be a knowledge keeper in your own right, to collect this. Yeah. I want this to happen.
Yeah. Make it so.
Yeah. If anyone wants to fund Julianna going
just
around
give
the
me some
world,
money.
that'd be
I
amazing.
can host it.
I will put you in
Done
touch.
can.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you to all of the people listening or watching us. We're grateful for you taking part and, learning about other perspectives and seeing where we all come together. Bye.